This is QTV News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Umudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, C.D. Keita, revealed on Tuesday that the total asset value of state-owned enterprises currently stands at $34 billion, reflecting a noticeable weakness in their performances. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has briefed the National Assembly on the controversial Good Practice document, an agreement between the Gambia government and the EU spelling out the procedure of the return of Gambian irregular migrants. Custom officers and clearing agents of the Gambia Revenue Authority are undergoing a week-long training on Harmonization System Intermediate. A free medical services and treatment session was held at Willinkama Garage on Saturday, organized by the Jabi Maidu Clinic. In international news, today, September 5th, is International Day of Charity, highlighting the incredible impact of volunteerism and philanthropy on a global scale. Those were the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, C.D. Keita, revealed on Tuesday that the total asset value of state-owned enterprises currently stands at $34 billion, reflecting noticeable weakness in their performances. He was speaking following his ministry's delivery forum meeting with President Barrow. QTV's Ansumana Isonyasi was at the State House in Banjul and now reports.
This meeting updates the President on the ministry's activities in administering the 2023 budget in the final 6 months of the fiscal year. It also addresses donor coordination efforts amongst other pressing issues that impact the economy. Following the closed-door meeting, C.D. Keita, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, shared with the media some of the issues they addressed during their meeting with President Barrow.
To update him on the current affairs on each of the key vital sectors, particularly as we have mentioned the macroeconomic aspect, which touch on the performance of the revenue, the inflation, the macroeconomic factors, the rising cost of food and inflation, and other aspects. Then the second part of the presentation focused on the budget implementation for the year.
He also revealed that one of the major issues that featured prominently in their discussions is how to revive and strengthen the financial and institutional performances of state-owned enterprises, many of which have been relatively weak, resulting to a moderate $34 billion in total asset value, a development he stresses needs urgent action. However, the finance minister believes that once fully functional, the newly established Commission for State-Owned Enterprises will play a crucial role in addressing issues such as weak performances.
And most of them are struggling financially. The financial performance of the state-owned enterprises are very weak, and this was identified, and the causes, the President was briefed as to the performance of each state-owned enterprises, factors leading to their performance, why their performance are the way they are, and what measures should be taken. And one of the key next and quick step to take is to usher in the SOE commission, the board of directors of which has been approved and appointed.
Meanwhile, he reiterated his ministry's resolve to curb challenges in the sector and ensure improved financial and operational performance of public institutions, especially the SOEs. Answana Sonyasi for KTV News.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs has briefed the National Assembly on the controversial Good Practice document, an agreement between the Gambia government and EU, spelling out the procedure of the return of Gambian migrants who have exhausted their asylum appeals in EU countries. QTV's Momodulamin Choi has been covering the National Assembly sittings.
The National Assembly convened on Tuesday to ratify international agreements with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense in the Assembly chamber to table motions. The Foreign Affairs Minister was scheduled to table a motion on the migration agreement between the Gambia and the Swiss Federal Council on Migration Matters. However, the Foreign Minister, Mamadou Tangara, introduces a motion without notice to withdraw the motion for ratification of this agreement.
I want to inform this August Assembly that my ministry did not seek for the ratification of the Gambia-Swiss agreement. The Office of the Clerk requested from my ministry signed agreements relating to immigration, which was shared following which we review an agenda. We receive an agenda with 3 items to be ratified, including this agreement.
That is not the end of the Foreign Minister's engagement. Minister Tangara requested from the Speaker an opportunity to provide clarification on the good practice document between the EU and the Gambia. The good practice document had appeared on the Assembly agenda for Tuesday, but was later removed. The reason for this, according to the Speaker, is that the good practice document was mistakenly included in the agenda, but it was later realized that on the request of the Assembly, the Foreign Ministry had shared it for NAMS to familiarize themselves with the document.
The purpose of the good practice document and its operational conclusion is to ensure that the readmission of our nationals follow due process, including exhausting their rights, legal remedies to stay, their dignified return, our reception capacity, and their reintegration.
The good practice document on identification and return procedures was agreed between the Gambia and the EU in 2018 and is reportedly non-legally binding.
It is a readmission arrangement or a memorandum of understanding on the modalities for return, which was not signed by either parties, and it is not an international agreement that would require the National Assembly's ratification.
Since the implementation of the good practice document, hundreds of Gambians have been deported from Europe. Initially, Gambia had issued a moratorium on receiving its nationals deported from EU member countries. In the wake of a raft of sanctions on the Gambia by the EU, the moratorium was lifted.
The removal or return of Gambian nationals from any European member state is exclusively the purview and authority of that country, while under international customary law, the Gambia as a country of origin for any of our nationals who have exhausted all their legal remedies to stay in that country has the responsibility and obligation to readmit them. The government has not and will not arrange or facilitate the return of anyone without due process being followed.
Addressing the issue of irregular migration has become a matter of foreign policy for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Many lives have been lost on the perilous migration journey through the Mediterranean Sea. Though government has facilitated the repatriation of some stranded Gambian migrants, there are more than 200 Gambian migrants stranded in Niger and Libyan immigration detention cells waiting repatriation to the Gambia. Next on the agenda is the Minister of Defense, who withdraws the Arms Trade Treaty Agreement motion, which he introduced on Monday. This is because the minister had introduced the treaty to Parliament for ratification without it having been signed. Mahmoud Lamin Choy, QTV News.
Custom officers and clearing agents of the Gambia Revenue Authority are undergoing a week-long training on Harmonization System Intermediate. It is the second training course this year within the framework of the European Union World Customs Organization Program for Harmonized System in Africa. Alusise report.
The EU WCO Program for the Harmonized System in Africa is a multi-stakeholder initiative funded by the EU and implemented by the World Customs Organization. The overall objective of the program is to provide African countries and stakeholders involved in the harmonized system implementation process with the required organizational capacities and resources to efficiently implement the program and apply future HS versions in a much more coordinated manner. In March this year, 25 officers were trained, and this latest training course is a demonstration of the Gambia Revenue Authority's commitment to competency development for its custom officers in line with the WCO strategic guidelines for competency development on tariff and classification. Sujan Yuk of the World Customs Organization Secretariat expressed appreciation of the excellent collaboration with the Gambia Revenue Authority in implementing the program. She used the event to once again congratulate the Gambia through the GRA for acceding to the revised Charter Convention, which was submitted during the last WCO Council meeting in Brussels. Lumana Kumasi from the European Union believes this program will greatly support the realization of Africa's free trade, thereby having a great impact on the regional economy.
For competency development on tariff and classification. As per the same approach, this workshop is set in a process and shall be followed by another support activities until we reach the goal of pool of solid trainers that can bear the torch in the country, the region, and beyond.
The long-term objective is to provide African countries and other stakeholders involved in the HS implementation process with the required organizational capacities and resources to apply future HS versions in a timely and coordinated manner throughout the respective regions and the entire continent.
Yankuba Dabo, the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, recognizes such training as very important in preparing custom officers to effectively carry out their work. He renewed his office's determination to enhance the knowledge of GRA personnel in an evolving world. He stressed on the participants to take the training seriously.
If you don't understand your tariffs properly, what would have happened to you is a very intelligent broker would take an item and classify it under a heading that would baffle you. You will be looking at the face of the SAD and the rate will be there, but for you, you think that this is correct. When in actual fact, the smart broker has put a tariff heading that is completely the opposite. And that is why, and in that means that you are end up losing a lot of money, and you will facilitate, you will even help that guy in doing that, because not because you are doing it deliberately, because you don't know.
The outcome of the training is expected to add value to the work of the Revenue Authority, which has been highly praised for maximizing annual revenue collection for national development. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
From that report by Aliou Cisse, now we go for a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
No more leakage, cracks, or a broken roof? Batimat's got you covered. With its wide range of waterproofing products, from roofing systems, fling cut, and sealants, from the most trusted and reliable international brands, all to make your life easier. Batimat, your trusted partner.
Batimat, welcome home.
The art of juggling is a true spectacle of agility, coordination, and speed. A symbol of progression, precision, and mastery. "5G speed is like having the juggler in your pocket.
Amazing.
With lightning-fast download and upload speeds, you'll easily be able to juggle even the busiest workdays. Whether you're a busy entrepreneur, a creative, or just someone who wants to stay connected, juggle your tasks with ease with QCell 5G speed. The future is here. It's fast, reliable, and efficient. First brought to you by QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. A free medical services and treatment session was held at Wulinkama Garage on Saturday, organized by the Jabi Maidu Clinic to support the less privileged in the community. Lena E. Igwenyiba tells us more.
Leveraging the expertise of dedicated volunteers from the University of the Gambia Medical Students Association, UNIGAMSA, this free health screening initiative by the Jabi Maidu Clinic offers high-quality medical assistance and raises awareness about various health issues. Bakari Toure, a medical doctor at Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, sheds light on the range of services provided and the purpose of this health screening and treatment.
Basically, we will be screening for some chronic diseases that are really, now in the rise in our country, in the Gambia, especially diabetes and hypertension. The importance of this is for them to know their status, whether they are people who are already diabetic or they are moving towards being diabetic or they are not diabetic. And then at each stage, we would also offer some advice that they can also take so that they will be able to help themselves.
Yankuba Jabi, the CEO of Jabi Maidu Clinic, views this free health screening as a way of giving back to the community while raising awareness about health issues.
We all know health is very, very important. Productivity is suffered, or hampered when nations' citizens are not healthy. So that's why it's very important for everyone to particularly be careful, or to take into consideration our health. We all know where we live. There are lots of conditions that are very prevalent in the Gambia and Africa as a whole. So early diagnosis is the key.
Lamin Sise, the National Assembly member for Kiang West constituency, commended this initiative, emphasizing the positive impact it will have on the people.
Such initiatives are really going to help our health system, because if you look at the health institutions that we have in the country are not as equipped as it should be. So initiating such things that in a town hall meeting forms at communities, to ensure that those do not have an opportunity to have access to the health sector, even if they have access, but the quality of the service that is rendered to them is really limited, would have an opportunity to meet the doctors at such events and explain themselves, and they will be given a special treatment.
Aissatou Bojang, a resident of Willinkama, expressed her gratitude for the free health screening.
This free medical treatment is very important because you get treatment without paying anything. We thank God for that. Sometimes we go to hospital and pay and still don't get this type of treatment. Here, we don't buy medications and they test your blood for symptoms. This is what we want for our health.
Health screening is important for early detection of various medical conditions, empowering people to proactively monitor their health conditions to address any underlying issues. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
On Saturday, Amnesty International Kanifing Group organized its second edition of human rights training for young people in the Kanifing municipality. As Jennifer Sonko reports, the training is meant to promote understanding of the principles of human rights in society.
In the Jama-led administration, state agents were notorious for human rights abuses, ranging from torture, degrading treatment, and harsh and life-threatening prison conditions, and forced disappearances, among other ill treatments. Going by our past history, and to keep the Never Again campaign alive, future generations need to be sensitized on respecting human rights and rule of law. This training encompasses thematic areas such as understanding human rights, addressing human rights violations, and peace building and conflict resolution. Mohammed Haidara, the president of Amnesty International KM Group, elaborates.
The objective of this training is to make sure that we promote understanding and make sure that people have a better grip of the basic principle of human rights in our society, because within the society of Kanifing municipality, we realize that a lot of community are not aware of their basic rights in terms of violations that are imposed on them. How can they address this? So we deem it's necessary for us to organize a training whereby we train our participants on 4 thematic areas.
Priscilla Yago Sise took the participants through understanding human rights. According to her, some people are not aware of their rights, and duty bearers are either not aware of their responsibilities or refuse to accept their responsibilities.
It is quite significant because we can never tire of introducing human rights to one and all. It is what needs to be done. Our fundamental rights and freedoms, everyone needs to know. So having this training today is just one step in addressing, in bridging that gap, so that as best as possible, almost everyone can get to know about what human rights are.
The voices, creativity and engagement of young people can help shape more inclusive, equal and resilient societies on human rights issues. Yaya Esanyang is a participant and he looks forward to sharing and impacting his community through this training.
To learn more about human rights and then how can I utilize it to my locality and also within my campuses.
as a student.
The National Human Rights Commission is mandated to investigate and consider complaints of human rights violations in the Gambia, including violations by private persons and entities. Mansour Job, Director of Legal and Investigation at the National Human Rights Commission, applauds the KMC group for complementing their efforts.
The training is very significant because it mainly involves young people who have shown determination and dedication towards the promotion and protection of human rights in the Gambia. So this is the second time I'm coming here actually as a resource person, and I'm very much happy to be given the opportunity.
After 22 years of dictatorship and currently in a transition, the Gambia is currently pushing a Never Again campaign. A memory house for the victims of the former government and the renaming of the July 22nd Arch to the Never Again Memorial Arch are examples. It is hoped that continuous capacity building in human rights issues will change mindsets for generations. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
Now on to some international news. Each year on September 5th, the world comes together to mark the International Day of Charity, highlighting the incredible impact of volunteerism and philanthropy on a global scale. Lena E. Igwenyipa has more.
Established in 2012 by the United Nations, the International Day of Charity acknowledges and applauds the invaluable contributions of charitable organizations and individuals worldwide. The choice of September 5th holds special significance as it commemorates the passing of Mother Teresa of Calcutta, who received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979, recognized for her tireless efforts in combating poverty and distress, which are known threats to global peace. Charity plays a vital role in mitigating the severe consequences of humanitarian crisis and supplementing essential public services, including healthcare, education, housing, and child protection. It also champions the rights of marginalized communities and extends a message of humanity even in conflict-ridden regions. Throughout history, the Gambia has experienced a profound impact from numerous charitable initiatives that have uplifted communities and improved lives. These organizations have provided crucial resources like clean water through borehole projects, essential medical equipment for hospitals, scholarships to advance education, and vital sanitary products to combat period poverty among women, among a host of other selfless endeavors that have enriched and empowered communities. On this day, individuals are encouraged to perform acts of kindness, support charitable causes, and raise awareness about pressing social issues, including poverty, hunger, education, and healthcare. The aim is to inspire and mobilize people and communities to take action, make a positive difference in the lives of the less fortunate. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Gwenyiba.
Still on international news, General Brice Clotaire Nguema on Monday has been sworn in as the interim head of state of Gabon less than a week after President Ali Bongo Ondimba was ousted. Jenna Basonko has the details.
General Nguema, who led Gabon's coup, has been sworn in as interim president and vows to restore civilian rule through fair, transparent, and credible elections after a transitional period. The military put President Ali Bongo under house arrest last Wednesday. The coup came minutes after an announcement that President Bongo had secured a third term in the latest contested elections. Bongo's family had ruled Gabon for more than 5 decades. He was favored to win a third term, even though many political observers said it was likely to be the closest electoral contest in the country's history. Ali has ruled the oil-rich Central African country since winning elections after his father, Omar Bongo, died in 2009. His father had been president for 42 years. General Brice Oligui Nguema said the dissolution of the country's institutions was temporary, without mentioning a particular period of transition. Of the 9 most recent coups globally, including this one, 8 have been in Africa. Meanwhile, in Gabon, the main opposition group, Alterance 2023, says it has called on the international community to encourage the junta to hand power back to civilians. In a televised address, Nguema proposed reforms that would include the adoption of a new constitution, along with new electoral and penal codes. Nguema also announced an amnesty for prisoners of conscience and said the political exiles would be welcomed back, characterizing the coup as a moment of national liberation. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
Well, that's it for QTV News tonight. Thank you very much for watching, but don't forget to join us again at 10 for another bulletin.